Hi everyone, Noi here from monday.com. Welcome to today's basic demo where we'll be showcasing the essential features that will help you get efficiently started with monday.com. Today, we'll start off by touching briefly on what the monday.com WorkOS is. From there, we'll build out a board and workflow together while showcasing various features such as the most common column types, board and account organization tips, communication features, automations, and more. So before we get started, let's talk briefly about what monday.com really is. In short, monday.com is a WorkOS, a customizable system in which you can manage all of your work throughout your organization. From the start, monday.com was built with a few main goals in mind: to increase transparency, collaboration, and empowerment between teams, and most importantly, to make completing your work much more enjoyable. One of the great things about monday.com is that it is a fully flexible tool that adapts to your specific needs. We have users across all verticals and fields, from sales to marketing, production, construction companies, and even universities. The possibilities that you have with monday.com are endless. With all of this said, let's hop right into my own monday.com account to take a closer look at how to start working with the platform. For this walkthrough, we've chosen a bakery business for example. We chose something fun that everyone can relate to, but if your work has nothing to do with this, don't worry at all. All of the principles and features which you'll learn about today can be transferred to suit your own business and workflow. In this walkthrough, we'll focus on building out one workflow on one single board, as we have here on our Brooklyn Bakery board. In short, the board is the heart and soul of our platform. It's the place where all of the information from your projects, tasks, and workflows are located. And because the platform is super customizable, you can use the board to manage anything, whether it's projects, tasks, clients, events, and much more. Today, I want to start by creating a board to manage all the tasks that my team and I need to complete in order to open up my brand new bakery called Brooklyn Bakery. When it comes to creating a new board, there are a couple of different ways that we can go about this. We have the option to start from scratch with a new board, use one of our pre-made templates, import data, where you can easily create a board out of data that you have located in external platforms such as Excel, Google Sheets, Asana, so on and so forth. In the Template Center here, you'll find templates that we've created for our customers based on real industries and use cases. These are a great place to start if you want to get a basic framework to get you off the ground. Today, we'll be starting from scratch so that we can create a board together from a blank state. We have 3 different options for board type: main, private, and shareable. Main boards will be automatically visible and accessible to all the team members on your account. Private boards, on the other hand, will only be visible to people that you choose to invite. This makes them great for sensitive information like finances or projects that haven't been completed yet. And lastly, shareable boards allow you to share a specific board or multiple with guests outside of your organization, which is great if you're working with contractors or freelancers, for example. Today we'll just get started with the main board and we'll press here to create it. Now let's go ahead and give our board a name and a description. We'll call it Brooklyn Bakery. And we can use the board description here to tell our team how to use the board so that everyone is on the same page. Let's go over some of the main board building blocks that you can use to customize your workflow. So looking at our board, you can see that we have 2 groups here and here that are created by default. Groups help to organize and categorize the information on your board, and they can be used to represent anything that you want, whether it's locations, clients, months, phases of a project, etc. Since we like to organize our work by the week that each task is being worked on, I'll rename the groups to this week and next week. And I'll go ahead and add one additional group from here for tasks that will be worked on later on. I'll just move it to the bottom and we're good to go. Inside each group, you'll see that we have a few items. Items can be used for anything that you want, whether it's a task, project, client, property, or more. For today's use case, we'll have each item represent a task that we need to complete before we can open up the Brooklyn Bakery. So since we're still working to open up the bakery, some of our tasks for this week will include hiring employees, creating the menu, and ordering ingredients. For next week, let's say that we'll need to train the managers, manage finances, and finally open up the cafe. Great. So often enough, tasks or projects that we have here can't be explained just by one sentence, and they may need to be broken down into smaller parts within them. That's where subitems come in. They give you the ability to add an additional level of hierarchy and granularity to your workflow. They can be added by right-clicking on an item and pressing Add Subitem, or through the item menu here. Great. Now that we understand a bit about the board hierarchy, let's take a look at some of the columns that we have here. Columns allow you to record different types of information related to your work. We offer over 30 different column types here in the column center, but today we'll just be focusing on some of the most essential and commonly used ones that you can find just here on the right. Columns really allow you to bring your workflow to life. So when building your board, think about what sort of data you want to show, and then you can add relevant columns to match the data types. So let's go over some of the columns that we'll use. Firstly, we have the people column here, which is useful for assigning responsibilities to team members. Every time I assign someone a task, they'll get a notification and be directed right here to this specific item. This helps to keep everyone on the same page, increases transparency and accountability, and it means that everyone knows what they need to do and who's responsible for each task. I'm just going to go ahead and assign some of my team members, and then we'll be good to go. Next up, the status column provides you with a list of customizable colored labels. You can customize it by pressing here. Most traditionally used to show the status of items in a board, it can also be used for anything else that you want, such as priority, categories, or more. Here, we'll use the status column so the team can easily see the progress of each task at a glance. I'll just go ahead and customize some of the labels. I'll add a new one if someone needs assistance. And I'll just go ahead and assign some labels to our items. Great. Next up, we have the date column here, which we'll use to assign a due date for each item that we need to complete. Sometimes, what's most important is knowing if tasks are complete or not by the date that we assign here. Through the date column settings, we can connect the date and status column using deadline mode so that our team can instantly see if something is running behind schedule or not. I'll press here to connect columns, and now we can get a very nice visual indication of our task's progression. Amazing. Now I'll go ahead and add the numbers column from here, which can be used to display any kind of numerical data. In our case, it'll be used to display the budget for each of our tasks. And by pressing into the summary bar at the bottom here, I can easily change the unit to dollars, let's say, so that it fits our purpose. I'll just go ahead and assign some of our budgets. Great. Now I'll add in the timeline column from here. I'm pressing timeline. This column type allows us to set a range of dates so that each of our tasks will span over several days, as most don't only take one to complete. This will come back later in our session when we'll show you how the timeline can really come to life. I'll just assign some timeline durations very quickly, and then we'll be all set. Amazing. And finally, I want to add in one more status column onto the board, which will help to indicate the priority of each of our tasks. I'll just change the label here to priority, and I can go ahead and add in my different labels to indicate the priority of each task. I'll add one for low, medium, and high. And then we can go ahead and assign priority in the click of a button. Amazing. Now that we have some of our columns set up and some data added to the board, we can now use the board views, which are found here, to help visualize the information in different ways. The board views are a really great way to see different angles of your project at a quick glance. Let's start off by adding the timeline view. This will let us see the span of dates allotted to each task in a much more visual way. And it makes it super easy to understand how long the whole project will take to complete. We can even drag and drop tasks around the timeline to adjust tasks that are running late, and change other information directly from here without needing to jump back into the board. By adjusting the timeline settings from here, we can select what we'd like the colors in the timeline view to represent. We can also group the timeline by person, by status, by groups on your board, or by any other values. It is worth noting, though, that the timeline view is not available on our basic plan. Now, we often want to get simple reports and insights from the data in our board. The chart view, which we can find here, makes that very simple by allowing you to present the data from your board in customizable graphs. Since I want a visual breakdown of the budget allotted for each of our tasks, I'll adjust the settings to show exactly this. I'll leave it as a bar chart today, but we also have pie, line, and other chart types. I'll change the x-axis to show the name of each item, and the y-axis to show the budget. And there we go. We have lots of other powerful board views that you can add as well, like the calendar view for viewing dates in a calendar format. We have forms for bringing data in from outside of monday.com to your boards directly. We have the map view for locations on a map, workload for resource management, and much more. I'll just click to go back to my main table here. Before we move on, let's take a quick look at some options that we have to keep our board organized. As your boards grow, you might find you have lots of groups with many items within each one. Keeping your boards organized is essential for efficient work. So today, I'll show you a couple of different ways that we can do this. Let's say we need to move an item from our first group to our second group. If it's just a single item, we can easily drag and drop it like so. I'll just move it back. If we have a few items that we want to move together, we can simply tick the items here and select Move Items or Move To right here. You'll see here that we can decide whether to move items to another group or to another board. We can also move other things around within the board, such as our columns or groups, by simply dragging and dropping as so. And you can do the same with the groups as well. Just drag and drop to customize the order that you'd like your different features to appear. You might also find that some of your items or boards are no longer relevant to you, but maybe you're not quite ready to delete them yet. This is where the archive comes in. We can archive items, groups, or boards that are no longer relevant, and you can restore them indefinitely. To archive an item, we can simply tick the item as I did here and select Archive. Similarly, we can select the drop-down arrow next to the group name to archive a whole group. Any archived data will be accessible forever, so you can always restore them should you need to. I'll just go ahead and restore the item that was just deleted and click back into my board. So, you may have guessed by now that at monday.com we love organizing. We want you to easily be able to find the information that you need at any time. We've seen how you can keep our boards organized, but we also have the options to organize the entire account. Along the side here, you'll see this panel which contains Workspaces. Workspaces allow you to have different dedicated sections for each of your team or company departments, while allowing everyone to work in one single account. This means that each team can concentrate on what's relevant to them while still enabling collaboration. You can also choose to have your workspaces represent clients or projects or anything else, if that makes more sense for the way that you work rather than departments, as we have here. Amazing. Inside of the workspaces, you'll see that we have folders set up here. These are another way to keep everything orderly and efficient. Inside of this folder, you'll see that we have some of our boards set up. We can click to expand or collapse our folders to keep our account organized. We can also favorite a board by selecting on the star icon here. This is great for those boards that you need to revisit often. Favorited boards will appear in the list at the top of the left pane here. You can find all my favorited boards in the list up here. As I mentioned previously, we're all about transparency and communication at monday.com. We want to make sure that you're spending your time at work as efficiently as possible. Therefore, not only is a platform where you'll be planning and tracking your team's work as we have here, but it's also where your team will discuss anything about it. First, let's look at how to invite a new member of the team to our account. Without having everyone on monday.com, you won't be able to assign them for work or to communicate in context. We can press here to invite a member simply by adding their email, or from the left side here, and we can choose to add them as a member or a viewer or a guest onto a shareable board. Great. Since we already have our team on board, let's take a look at how we can communicate with them within the platform. On each item, you'll see a small speech bubble icon here. This is where the update section lives. Now, here, you can communicate on a specific topic and easily find the conversation later. No more needing to filter through long email chains. I see my colleague Bradley is in charge of hiring employees. So I can go ahead and press the @ button to mention Bradley and to notify him of this new message. and then he'll be directed right to this specific item. You can even add checklists and cross it off as you go along. And you'll see this all located on your item as well. Great. Clicking the bell icon here will show us our newest notifications without having to leave our board. You can also see unread notifications here at the top, or those that you were specifically mentioned in. We can easily set up teams as well within monday.com to quickly mention all the relevant people without having to tag them one by one. To do this, just head over to the bottom left-hand corner here and select Teams. You can see that I have a few teams already set up on my account, such as the customer success team, the marketing team, ops team, and more. Today, I want to add in a new team for the bakery management group, so I can easily mention them in an update or assign them all at once to a people column. So I'll just press here, New, I'll call it Bakery Management, and I can go ahead and add my teammates in a click. Great. Now when I go back to my Brooklyn Bakery board, if I need to assign a team or to mention them as well, I can go ahead and just simply tag Bakery Management. Now, as your boards get bigger and you add more information onto your boards, you'll want a quick way to easily find the exact information that you're looking for. That's where the board search and filters come in. So let's say we want to find any task on this board that includes the word menu. I can simply search within the search bar here, and all of the relevant items will pop up. You can also apply more advanced filters through here. These are great as they can be saved for later, so you can come back to them as many times as you need without having to set them up again. Let's just take a look at the tasks that are marked as working on it and that are assigned to Noah. Now this can serve as a to-do list for Noah. We can press to save as a new view, to do Noah. And now she can come back in every time and see exactly what is being worked on. Another great feature for drilling down on specific information according to parameters that you define is Search Everything, which is located right here. This is a super powerful tool that will allow you to search across all boards in your entire account. This is useful if you're looking for everything connected to a certain client or a project, or simply a task where you don't remember which board it was living on. Let's search for every item that has a label stuck. By using this, we can see all of our items that contain this label across multiple different boards. We can even search for files, for updates, and more. Now, let's quickly jump back into our board. And you may have noticed this little robot icon at the top of the board. This is where you can find our automations. Automations are a way to supercharge your board. They allow you to automate repetitive manual actions, meaning that you have more time to focus on the important stuff that matters to you. We'll touch on these only briefly today, but if you want to learn more, be sure to check out additional resources that we offer, where we'll dig into them in much more detail. I highly recommend exploring automations in your own time as they're one of the coolest aspects of the platform. We have a range of automations available to add to your boards, and you can take a look at them here in the Automation Center. You can also create your own recipe through our custom automation builder. Great! If you want to start adding automations to your workflow today, I suggest checking out the automations webinars that we have on demand at www.monday.com/webinars/on-demand. Above our automations, you'll find another menu here with the 3 dots. Here we can find the board settings, where we can duplicate our board, archive it, find our archives, print it, and much more. And finally, before we finish, let's look at how we can customize our monday.com experience to make it more personal. In the bottom left-hand corner here, you'll be able to customize your profile by pressing on My Profile. And if you're an admin, this is where you can make account-wide changes as well. If you're an admin and want to learn more about the tools that you have available, I also suggest checking out our recorded webinar on all things admin in our webinar hub. Now, before we finish up, I want to show you guys our Trust Center here. For those of you who have questions about security and monday.com, we want to be as transparent as possible with you guys, and the Trust Center is a hub for all of your security certifications. You can find it at monday.com/trustcenter. And lastly, I want to show you the main places to find the answers to your questions once this webinar is over. You can do this through your own account, here at the question mark on the bottom left side. And that's all for today. Thank you so much and have fun building out your first board and workflow on monday.com. Bye!